with us as well. Let me begin this conversation with Dr. Shawna Pandya. Dr. Pandya, what really have been the big learnings for the entire space community in the past 9 months? Sunita Williams was sent to space for a short duration. However, the entire journey turned into a grueling almost 300 days in space. So what really have been the learnings?
I think at the mission level, it's really solidified what has been the core of planning for space all along, and that is be ready for plan A, but have plan B, C, D, all the way to Z up your sleeve, so you can be ready for contingencies, you can be ready for alternate happenings as they occur. And in this case, you know, it was really looking at all possible solutions, everything from taking the Boeing Starliner capsule back to coming back early, to sending up an extra SpaceX crew capsule, to finally changing out the Crew 9 rotation, sending up 2 astronauts, and then turning it into a regular duration ISS mission, in this case 9 months, and coming back home. And then from the astronaut side, just looking at the resilience it takes to be an astronaut, to be away from home for so long, that is pretty par for the course. As you've heard from Captain Williams' intro, she is an astronaut's astronaut. She's absolutely the person for this job. And so, you know, both at the individual level, both at the space agency and space mission planning level, you know, it's all about resilience. It's all about contingencies. And the Crew 9 mission completely exemplified that.
Dr. Pandya, at the same time, what do you think astronauts and people who are aspiring to be astronauts have now taken away from this entire mission, and especially the resilience that has been shown by Sunita Williams, by Butch Wilmore?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think the two key takeaways here are both aptitude and attitude. So the aptitude, nobody questioned from the start. Looking at Butch and Sunny, you know, they're very, very accomplished. They know what they're doing, but the attitude of never, you know, when am I coming home? Am I there yet? It's always about the mission. It's always about integrating into the crew rotation, about focusing on the task at hand. And I think for anyone who wants to follow in their footsteps, learning to be both really good at what you do, but also doing it with a good attitude. Those are really two key takeaways.
And at the same time, Dr. Pandya, how do you think this entire mission has now shed light on how critical the private sector has become towards space exploration and the future of the space industry?
Yeah, I think the really key takeaway here is what has been kind of at the core of missions all along, and that is always having an escape vehicle, always having a ride home docked to the station. And so here, there was no point at which the astronauts were stuck or stranded in space. If they needed to evacuate, even before the Crew 9 capsule arrived, they could have come back on a contingency. It would have been less of a comfortable ride. They would have been riding under the cargo space in the Crew 8 capsule. But I think all of the planning that goes into this, looking at all of the what if scenarios, looking at all of the contingencies, and just being prepared, and then being ready, as we say, to adapt and overcome, that really came into fruition over the course of this now 9-month mission.
Dr. Pandya, you'd also be making your way into space, we believe, in 2026. So how's the preparation for that going?
You know, it's going really, really well. Right now, we are down selecting our science for our mission with Virgin Galactic as early as next year. And then we're getting back to our microgravity flights for some crew training and coordination in a few months' time. And I am so excited to get back to that.
What really is the regimen like? And, you know, like you said, that it's all about aptitude as well as attitude. So how is it that you're trained to really, in a way, it's a leap of faith, right? And it was for Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore as well. Like I said, they'd gone for a short duration, but then that turned into 9 months, and there was a lot of uncertainty. So how is that training that takes place of the mind, which is most critical?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that's just as relevant if you're dreaming of being an astronaut someday, or if you're actively training for a mission. And you really have to believe in the end goal. You have to believe in the mission objective. objectives. If you're starting off wanting to be an astronaut, you don't know what the outcome is going to be at the other end of that journey. And so you have to also love every step of that journey. If you want to be an engineer or a pilot or a doctor and get to space, you also have to love each one of those things. And then once you're training for a mission, you have to love every aspect of it. There's going to be a lot of careful coordination and scheduling, but loving every step of the journey as well as the end goal is kind of key.
Dr. Pandya, before we let you go, how big of an inspiration is Sunita Williams to young girls out there, specifically young girls who are aspiring to become astronauts and who are aspiring to become space scientists?
Absolutely. She's an inspiration, I think, even to other astronauts like myself. You look at her career, you look at her track record.
Hello.
Has truly set the bar high. And, for anyone who wants to be an astronaut, just looking at Sunita Williams' record and what she's achieved, she truly is an astronaut's astronaut. She embodies what it means to work hard, to excel, and to do it with grace and a great attitude.
Absolutely. And what really is it that you're also, sort of getting in terms of advice from family and friends? How's that been?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, it's always not viewing the race to space as a sprint, but a marathon, and keeping in mind that it's a long journey and keeping the end goal in mind, and then just being surrounded by really, really good people through friends and family who will, lift me up and also tell me, honestly, when I need to hear it that I'm doing too much, and, also rein me in a little bit. So good people are key, when you're going to space, whether it's through a space agency